What's going on, everybody? This is Token Gaijin with another episode of Scrubcraft. This is a continuation of me and Deathwraith's Brotoss action. We're going to be spawning down here as the blue and red Brotoss respectively, and we're going to be against a Terran and a Zerg team. Now, I know that there's been a lot of Brotoss videos coming out between me and Deathwraith, and I understand that, you know, it's nice to see other races play in action, so don't worry, that will be coming. I have been practicing my Terran gameplay. Terran are my worst race, so I did want to get a little bit better with them so I could bring videos of me playing as Terran. Also, I don't know if Deathwraith is going to do it or not. He's talked about it, but trying to get better with Zerg, because Heart of the Swarm is coming out, so he wants to get more familiar with Zerg units, but also it is his weakest race. It's always good to practice with your weakest race, so we're going to be trying to bring you some videos of that caliber as well. So you'll see that Deathwraith got his pylon out before me because he did a 9 pylon, and I'm doing the 10 pylon. And in a Zerg rush situation, or when you, not really a Zerg rush, but when you know you're against a Zerg opponent, I like to do the 10 pylon more so than the 9 pylon, because I do the 9 pylon sometimes, even though you see me do a lot of 10 pylon, because it gets me that gateway immediately, and I want to start this wall off as soon as possible, because nothing is more annoying than getting speedling rushed in your own base, and no protection, and nothing to stop it. So you're going to see the drone poking around my base, you know, nothing out of the ordinary, he's scouting around. Deathwraith sends his own little pro about to scout. And I did try to follow him, I didn't know what he was doing. I mean, even though we're in Silver League, we're not in Bronze League anymore, you still see some weird shit. I wasn't sure if he's going to do a proxy hatchery rush. And I know that's really a weird strategy to even think about or conceive. I mean, you know, a hatchery proxy. But it does work. If you've ever played mono battles, one of the most annoying strategies is someone just goes for queens as their only unit, and then just builds spine crawlers and spine crawler rushes with a hatchery. But I want to get the gas down relatively early. It's a 14 gas. Well, not relatively. That's his usual timing. And so same with Deathwraith, because we're going to get these cyber cores out. We want to get that warp gate technology. Now, Deathwraith, when he was scouting, saw this. The Terran is building his wall off down here, which is a very, very good thing to do with a Terran Zerg team, because, I mean, think about it, your naturals are right here, and really, unless we have units that can jump or blink stalkers, the only way we can actually get to your natural is to go through your bases. So it's a lot of really good protection for them, and it's a really good idea to build here. But we spot it, and since we know that they're going to be turtling up, and the Terran is going for this so that the Zerg can get a safe, fast expansion, we're going to take this opportunity and get map control and poke around, and this is really what's going to stunt them. What ends up as their base strategy, which is a smart strategy, by the way, it's not a bad strategy, is actually going to come back to bite them in the ass, because their turtling up is going to allow us to push out and exert map control, which is something that you usually don't get when you're playing against a Zerg and a Terran, or a Zerg, just basically. Because usually the Zerg like to get speedlings and stuff out and to exert map control, especially against Brotoss and Terran. And, I mean, Terran are, you know, known for turtling, but, I mean, when the Zerg does it too, it's kind of a blessing, especially when you're a dual Brotoss team, because it means we get to use the map control army, and they just get to sit back and turtle up. I don't know why I said map control army, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna push out and make sure that they can't do anything outside of their naturals. So I'm gonna get my usual 4-gate out. I'm trying to chrono boost this cyber core research, and you see I only have my 3 gateways. I'm not gonna start building troops yet until the warp gate tech is down, and I'm actually gonna start my Twilight Council. The reason I'm getting my Twilight Council a lot earlier than I'm pushing out my stalkers and saving it for stalkers is because I know Deathwraith is going to get out his usual early units, but since they're turtling up so bad, I want to blink up into their bases and harass, because, I mean, if they're going to be turtling right here, it's going to be really hard for me to attack the front, especially now that he's taking his barracks and moving them into his base to build bunkers. And I really don't know why he built his barracks there to stop like a super early rush or something, but we're Brotoss, and this is somewhat of a large map, so he could have actually just built 1 racks here and then built 2 bunkers here, but instead he opted to go for the 2 racks here and then replacing the bunkers, and moving those racks is actually going to somewhat delay him from his, you know, building more Marines and Marauders. So I really don't see the purpose of that, but, you know, to each his own. I mean, if that's how you want to do the build, that's how you want to do the build. But I'm getting my blink out right now. I only have 2 stalkers, and I'm going to get out of the sentry. And the reason I want to get that sentry out is because I'm going to be going for the hallucination. Oh, I already have the hallucination tech. I forgot. I teched it right after Warp Gate. And I'm just going to get a couple more units out, but I am going to expand off of this. Deathwraith is also planning to expand, but he got a little bit more troops out because I was going for such a risky endeavor of teching a lot faster than he was. So he's got, you know, 2 sentries, a couple zealots, and some stalkers. So I'm starting to build my expansion out. I don't really have too many troops, but once again, I'm not really too concerned about them pushing out because the Zerg, I already know, like, after we saw the wall, that he was going to be doing a fast expansion, and he's got to really concentrate on trying to saturate that up. And we also have the Terran, who, since he's concentrating on defenses, I already knew that he was going to be building a lot of troops and just trying to turtle as hard as he possibly could. So I was assuming tanks, which is a good assumption because that is what he ends up going. You can see the tech lab down, and you can see him training his first tank. He's going to be sieging those up to try and protect their borders. I don't want any cheeses or nidoworms in my base because the Zerg is turtling, so I'm going to start building pylons around my base. That is a recommendation to anyone who ever plays a Zerg. Make sure you have line of sight or vision in your own base, because if you can't see in your own base, you can easily get nidowormed. And if you are playing a Zerg and you see that your opponent does not have shit in his base to detect those dark corners, why not use the nidoworm? It's just an easy way of bypassing all the defensive and saying, "Good day, sir." I'm going to be poking out. I do have hallucinate. I only have 1 sentry, but I really only need the 1 sentry to hallucinate and get up. I didn't see the tank at the time, but he starts shooting pot shots at me. I'm like, oh shit, get away. My probe is just like, oh god, no, bro. So I'm gonna wheel back around here. I do have a nice little stalker count. I don't have like a million stalkers, but they really don't have much. And I didn't know how many tanks he had. I didn't know if it was sieged or not because it was just shooting at me, and I really didn't see. But I should have noticed that the tank's fire was way too fast for siege. So I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. I bet you the Zerg does not have siege tanks. So I get my hallucinated Phoenix out to get sight. And hello! I blink right up into the base. I'm going to start taking pot shots. Now he has way too many roaches. I'm just like, oh shit. I am not going to be able to fight these many roaches. So I start doing single firing, and I'm just like, I really don't want to fight these roaches because I might be able to win, but I don't really want to take that risk with my stalkers. So I just blink right out. I was about to poke up to see if he moved his roaches, but he didn't, so I'm just like, alright, once again, I really don't want to mess with that. So I'm just going to cut my losses, continue to saturate my secondary base, which is what I'm spending all my minerals on, rather than reinforcing. And then I come down here, because I was going to wait and build a pylon and then jump up, and lo and behold, what do I see? A hatchery. So I go back and keep saturating my base, and I just wait for this to pop because I know he can't see me with this hatchery. And once it pops and it's out of construction, that means he is committed to those 300 resources, which are instantly lost. And I'm just like, oh, easy 300 resources for me. Gotta suck. But really, because Deathwraith is a little bit more behind on the base count, but he's bigger on the troop count, I'm leaving him more for defense because really, we know it's just Marines and Marauders at this point. And he's got a lot of Zealots in the front, so if it is a Zergling run by, we can easily defend against it. But I just wanted to make sure that the Zerg isn't poking out, and I'm basically just going on the defensive mode. I don't want them to expand at all. And even though they have their naturals, there's a lot of bases on this map, and if we can have more bases than them and have a better economy, we're going to be in a far better position than them, and it's going to allow us to easily just out-econ them, outmaneuver them, outbuild them, and then just outlast them in general. So that's always something you want to do, is try to get some more map control than your opponents. And because we're fighting a Terran who is turtling way too hard, he hasn't even gotten his expansion. I don't even know if he's building one. Oh, he's building. Wow, he's really going on the defensive. He's got missile turrets out. Missile turrets are great and all, but they haven't really taken a look at what we're doing. Like, if he did some scans or something, he'd see that we really don't have anything. Jeez, I mean, Deathwraith does have the robo, so he could do some warp prison play, but really, as of right now, we're very standard. We don't have any voids or anything. So that's way too many missile turrets to really. I really don't know. I just can't recommend that many missile turrets this early in the game, especially when he's only got so few troops, and he's going for Thors. And I mean, I guess you already have the factory down, but you don't want to overextend and go Thor until you know what the enemy is doing. He knows I have Stalkers, and Thors aren't actually that good against Stalkers. Like, yes, they are more powerful than Stalkers, but if I just get a massive Stalker ball, I can easily whittle down Thors. And, I mean, Deathwraith, if he had poked in and to see what Deathwraith is building, he's building Immortals, which is, like, the absolute worst thing you want to come against when you are a Thor. Don't want to park my units right here because I've been going back and forth between this base and this base, checking the high grade to make sure that they're not poking out to try to expand. I know the Zerg is going to want to expand soon because Zerg always want to have one more base than their opponents, and since me and Deathwraith have 2 bases, he's been looking to expand to get a 3rd. He's going for Roach Hydra, which is probably the best composition against Brotoss. If you've ever played against Brotoss, Mutaballs are nice and annoying, but if your Brotoss enemy has a Stalker Ball, or he masses up Archons, you're screwed. Mutas are not as reliable as you think. Roaches and Hydras are. If you put the Roaches in front of the Hydralisks, you have a great curtain, a buffer for damage, and even though Roaches are really valuable, they can take a lot of hits, and they're really annoying to single fire down. So, Roach Hydra is optimum for against Brotoss because those Hydras will get rid of any pesky air, and those Roaches will just eat through the ground. Now, I want to continue to push out. I am getting a few pot shots from the siege tanks, but I really don't give a damn because my majority of my forces, I don't even know. Yeah, they're back here. I've got like a ton of DTs coming out, and the reason I got DTs is I know they might have some form of detection, but they don't have a lot of detection. So DTs are great because since I know they don't have much detection other than they might have a couple overseers, these DTs are going to be able to whittle down anything that's trying to poke out. Now I am going for my 3rd down here because I have less troops, and Deathwraith is still, he's pretty well on to saturating this base, but he doesn't have the 2nd gas. I'm basically almost saturated at this base, and I know he wants to go for the high grade. So he's going to get the high grade after I drop my base just to make sure that he can stay and protect it. And I'm going to start getting this out, put some pylons here so I can warp in troops. And I'm going to keep my gateway building as well. I did build a couple more gateways. I built 4 more, and the Dark Templar Archive, or Dark Shrine, not the Dark Templar Archive. I forgot, that's the HT Archive. And he's going for his very standard, just gateway robo build, and I'm going for pure gateway troops. And I know that's a little risky to do, just gateway troops and not getting out any air or anything. But there is some benefit to just doing gateway troops. For one, I can pop my troops at a lot faster than Deathwraith because he's got to rely on backing up with robo troops, which isn't that bad seeing as he has 2 robos, which is the ideal situation you want to be in, especially if you're econing this hard. Also, because he's getting out the more powerful robo troops, I am more of the bulk of the army as opposed to him where he's got all the muscle. And we're fighting a Zerg, which means DTs, HTs, and Archons are going to play an immense role. DTs are great against Zerg, but the real thing I want to be getting out is Archons. Archons are just amazing. They're good against all bio units, so when you push out with Archons, you're going to hurt everything. They have a little bit harder time with Roaches, which is why Roaches are so good against Brotoss, but they are just amazing versus anything else, especially light units. So if you get like a mega Zergling ball, or you get like Hydras, you're just going to easily wipe them out. Now, I do have a couple stalkers here that are just going to be wiped out by this. I was having them on patrol mode. I'm just like, oh shit, whatever. That we really don't care because Deathwraith has this mega ball of death. He's coming back to the base, and I'm going to start pushing out. I'm just like, oh god. But I have so many DTs. How many DTs do I have? Just a lot. I don't want to really count that, but I have a ton of DTs, and I'm getting my 3rd base down, so I already know that even if he pushes out, we're going to be fine. Now, the Zerg moves his forces to this Zelnaga Tower, past our army. We thought they were going to hit our front gate, but they didn't. And I'm just like, you know what? They're going to try and hit us Archon time. Because I didn't know if he had any detection or not. I was a little afraid of that. And Archons are just amazing against Zerg forces. So I'm like, might as well. So Deathwraith is going to initiate the battle. His Colossus, unfortunately, goes down a little fast. So he gets the other one out there. He's like, oh shit, get out of the way. And my ball of Archons and everything just comes to meet him. Those Zealots just getting some work done. I mean, charge lots are just amazing. And we didn't see that they had Burrow, so we're just like, oh god, Burrow. So Deathwraith is going to get out. He's like, oh god, we need detection. So he's getting out these observers because we need them. And I'm just like, oh god, that could not be good. But, even though they do have burrowed units, like burrowed Roaches and Hydras, and they can see what we're doing, we're really not too concerned because every time he tried to pop up here, which I don't understand because he sees that we just have this massive colossal force that he cannot deal with this many Roaches. So he's just like, I'm going to cut my losses and get the fuck out. But, he thinks he's in a false sense of safety. He's just sitting here just like, oh yeah, nothing can get me. But once these observers get here, it's going to be a completely different story because we have all these Archons. We have all of these zealots. We have these colossi here. So we're going to find them, and then we're going to destroy them. But it looks like they're going to retreat back to the base, past the siege tank cover. I know that the Terran is going to go... wow, the Terran really doesn't have that much. He got this base really late, and that's not very good for Terran, because while he is almost out with his base, one of the things about Terran that is a benefit to them that a lot of Terran really don't, in the lower leagues, especially Bronze and Silver, don't take advantage of, if you do expand around the same time as Protoss and Zerg, you're going to out-economy them in nearly every aspect of minerals. Not Vespians so much. Vespian's always a problem. But I mean, think about it. You can get Hellions and Marines just on minerals. So you can just mass up like Hellions and Marines and exert map control. It's just heinous the amount that you can build. So we're going to have another engagement down here. He pushes out with a couple Thors. I really think that was kind of out of position. I know he does wipe out a lot of Deathwraith Stalkers and his Zealots, but it really doesn't matter because a lot of his Zealots were just fodder anyway. That's how he uses them, and it's expertly done. And my DTs are just gonna come in here and wipe out the Zerg reinforcements. They're just like, you know what? You can't see me. You can't see shit. I win. And as you can see, they haven't been able to push out because I have been patrolling this entire map, just trying to make sure they don't have bases. Now Deathwraith's going to go poke out. He wants to make sure they don't have any bases, and I'm just going to kind of sit pretty, rebuild my forces, and I'm actually going to get down another expansion. My main is nearly completely gone. My expansion, my natural is pretty well saturated, and so is my other base, but, you know, it's always nice to keep expanding because not only does it allow you to get a bigger econ, but it allows you to, you know, just take up more of the minerals on the field that the enemy can't get to. Now, once again, he tries to expand over here, but I'm just like, no, bro, I am patrolling all of this land. It is mine. And that is something you want to keep doing. This is map control that you want to have, especially against Zerg, because Zerg are fierce when they have multiple bases and creep spread. They are ridiculous once they get to 3 or 4 bases, but if you keep them on 2, their economy just dies and they're not able to do anything. Look, his main is completely gone. He is way too many drones on his natural. This mineral patch is going to be gone in just mere minutes. Like, it's terrible what he's doing. And he knows it too. He's been trying to push out so hard, but he just can't. He just does not have the troop allotment to do it. And even though he did at one point have the troop allotment to go out and then expand, he didn't expand off his initial push. He just tried to push, and it failed because we had too much for him to deal with. Especially since he didn't have the Terran backing. So he's going to push out with roaches and just burrow and unburrow and burrow and unburrow. And then we just have these observers coming like, you know what? Burrow all you want because we can see you. These observers just go to work. Now, they are going to get taken out, I think, by these missile turrets. Yeah, the missile turrets are going to take them out, but you know, it doesn't really matter because I'm just going to blink up into the base and start poking. I hit the supply. I didn't finish it off because I wanted to hit these Thors. The Thors do, and the Marines start to do some work on my Stalkers, but I only have Stalkers in the base. I'm not too worried. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to poke in and scare the Terran out. And really, hitting the Terran like this is actually good, even though we're not going to finish him off, for the simple reason that the Terran doesn't have much to begin with. I really don't know what he's been doing all too much. He's been taking up really, really hard, but he doesn't have the troop amount. He doesn't have the... well, he has the resources and minerals. He's just not spending it wisely. He's only got 2 racks. He's got 2 factory. When you're on 2 base, you want to start voting more production. I mean, look at the production that we have. I mean, I've got a ludicrous amount of gateways. I've got 2 forges that I'm taking off of. Deathwraith has, you know, he's got a 3rd robo down now, and he's only got 6 gateways, but he's concentrating more on robo forces than I am. So our production just destroys theirs, especially when you think about it. The Zerg only has 2 bases to work off of because he has been trying to expand, but what he should have done in the early game was build another hatchery. And if he had a 3rd hatchery in his main, even though it's not being used to mine resources, it allows him to build up troops faster. You always want multiple hatcheries when you're Zerg because everything you build comes off of hatcheries. And another thing you really want to do with Zerg is to be able to expand, and his Terran really hasn't helped him expand. He's helped him turtle up pretty well, but you don't want to turtle when you're Zerg. The thing you want to do with Zerg is to push out and exert map control because Zerg have some of the best means to getting that map control. I mean, God, speedlings are just heinous when they're massed up into a mega ball. Especially you get banelings, you get roaches that can burrow and move. So really the Zerg has just been suffering because he's been going along with his teammate and like, hey, you know what, I'll turtle up. I mean, he is going to get a lot of Corruptors, and I think he's going for Broodlords, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's going to go for those Broodlords because Broodlords are really going to eat us up. But even if he's going for Broodlords, we're not too concerned. I mean, I'm running off of like 3 bases right now. My initial base is saturated. Deathwraith is just like, you know what, this high grade's nearly gone, and since I know we're safe, he's going to double expand. And there he goes, the Zerg again, trying to expand. I don't know if we spot this and take it out, but I do know that it's not going to be really that big of a deal because we have so many bases and so many forces. Like, just look at all these Archons. And these are teched up Archons, too. I mean, I'm getting another shield upgrade. I'm getting another armor. I think this armor level 2. I'm getting shield level 1. I only have shield level 1, but I have attack 3. So I have maximum attack Archons, Stalkers, DTs. And it's just heinous now. Plus, I have all these gateways, so even though my forces can be whittled down a lot faster than Deathwraiths, I can reinforce really quickly. And realistically, I probably should have put down some more gateways. Because remember, when you're expanding so much, or you expand, every time you expand, just build more production. It's always good. What the Terran should have done in this game is he probably should have built these initial 2 racks, or maybe even a 3rd racks, and then when he dropped his expansion and built 2 or 3 more, because that would allow him to pump out troops faster. For Zerg, it's a little different since you have to build everything off the hatcheries. Yeah, there they are. The Brood Lords. I hate these things. But what you really want to do with Zerg is once he got that second base, he wanted to either get a 3rd one out so that he could mine off of, or a 3rd one in his main so that way he could build up troops as well. Because you really want to just concentrate on troop building once you get that second base. And if you're unable to build as many troops as your opponent, you're going to lose. Which is why you want to keep making production, especially as Brotoss and Terran. It's way more beneficial. So we're going to clear these high-grade rocks. I don't remember if Deathwraith wanted to move out there or not. We're going to get some pot shots from this cannon. And this is the part where we're just like, you know what? Why the hell do we care? Deathwraith mislooks. He's like, I'll go here. But he goes up to get the line of sight. He wants me to blink up there. So I'm like trying to get my Stalkers, but these damn Archons, I've got way too many Archons just in the way. Like, whatever. So my Stalkers are going to go up, and I'm going to start whittling down these Broodlords because I see them. I'm just like, oh god, no. And Deathwraith doesn't have too much to contend against the Broodlords. So it's really my job with these Archons and Stalkers to take them out. But these Roaches are going to come and just start hitting me. So Deathwraith brings his Colossi over to hit them from the ledge. They just cannot see. He's got 2 little Roaches to deal with us. My Stalkers are taken out by the Broodlord and the Roach army, but I'm going to move the rest of my forces, these DTs, these Archons, and these Stalkers over to deal with it. And I'm also going to start reinforcing. And I start reinforcing right here, just pumping out units and sending them on their way. The reason I'm not reinforcing here is there's a wall that I didn't break. I didn't know if they're going to try to expand here or not, so I want to keep this wall up as long as possible. And then if they do expand there, I can just warp in units really, really quickly and then just defend it just as easily. So I'm warping in all my reinforcements, and I got my Archons and everything up here, and my couple Stalkers that had survived, just like, alright, whatever, we'll take pot shots. And here it is, the DTs! My god, I've got my own observers out now, I got like 1,000,000 of them, because I didn't want to have any burrowed units, and I've just got so many DTs that he has no detection, no way of going against this. So I just take down his entire base in production, all of his add-ons. And while he was concentrating on my Archons and my Stalkers, the fact that he had no detection and he has to rely on the Terran, who is also getting butt-fucked right now by Deathwraith, is that it's kind of funny because he had to get scans off to even see my DTs. And just look at the amount. I'm just like, you know what, fine. If you're going to get detection to be able to see them, I'm going to go for Archons. And even though they're getting attacked right now, it doesn't matter. It's way over, bro. These Archons are going to pop, and they're just going to ruin your day because nothing kills Zerg better than Archon. Well, I mean, there's some other things that kill them faster, but I love Archon versus Zerg. They just kill those broodlings. My Stalkers are going to come and back this up. And it's basically the GG. He does have a 3rd base down here, but it's unrealistic for him to even contemplate trying to come back from this. And I don't know which one of them, I can't remember which one left, but one of them is just going to go for the uber cheese. Just like, I'm going to stay in as long as possible or whatever. Just build shit around the map, but it doesn't matter. It's game over. I don't have that many troops, but I'm reinforcing right there, and then he left. Taylor's just like, no, bro, I am out. I only have Overlords and like 2 Corruptors. There's nothing I can do. And that is the good game, and that is how you contain a Zerg and a Terran. always try to remember that if your opponent is turtling up hardcore, use it to your advantage. Turtling is a great way to protect your first 2 bases, or even just your first base from initial pushes. But if you stick into turtling too much, your opponent is going to lose, or you will lose even if you're trying to turtle. Turtling is great for expanding and because you're protecting against initial waves, but it is not something to be used until into the end game. You need to push out. You need to expand. You need to keep building production facilities, and you definitely need to get some map control. Because if your opponent is able to move around the map a lot faster than you are not going to be able to expand, get more minerals. You're not going to be able to have as good of an econ as he is, and you're not going to be able to win, especially if he's able to build out more troops faster. I mean, look at the production we have compared to what they had. Well, I mean, you can't see it anymore. It's destroyed. But, I mean, he was on 2 racks, 2 factory. I mean, I have way more gateways than he had racks, and Deathwraith just had way more robos than he did factories. So it's just a matter of outproducing and out-expanding. And that is what you need to remember when you're playing 2v2 especially, but any StarCraft in general, is to keep expanding, to keep pushing out, and to keep evolving your forces. The reason why I didn't really need to do much evolving after I got the DTs and the Archons is because they weren't doing anything to try and stop me. And yeah, they had Thors and stuff, but really, I mean, our composition was just it was really involved and pushed into, but they didn't have much to fight the ball that we had. I mean, he had Zealots. He did have Kalos, which don't fare very well against Thors, but they're not weak to Thors. And the big thing is those Zealots are going to be soaking up all the damage because they're just going to run out first. And he had Immortals, which just tear Thors for breakfast. The Roach Hydra was probably the best, and the Zerg did play well because they went into Broodlords, which is a very good unit, especially against a ball like this. But the thing is that I had Archons and Stalkers. The Stalkers can take single shots, and the Archons actually are great at sweeping up the Broodlings. So even though your army is going to start whittling down, and even the Archons themselves will be whittled down by the Broodlings, I mean, their AoE attack is great for just taking them out. And, you know, the more and more Broodlords try to fight you, the less Broodlings they can shoot at a time. So you can actually out-maneuver Broodlords, even masked up, if you have enough Archons. But anyway, that is the game. Look out for some more games. I am in the middle of moving. We're just moving across the hall, so it's not like really a big move. But we're not going to have internet for a while, so I won't be able to post videos for a while. When we do get back to posting, me and Deathwraith are talking about trying to play around with some different races. He's trying to get better with Zerg because Heart of the Swarm's coming out, and it is his weakest race. And my weakest race is Terran. So we're actually been trying to practice to get better with our weakest races. I'm decent with Zerg. I'm still trying to get better with Zerg in general. And he's decent with Terran. So it's really just, you know, a matter of, you know, trying to get better at the game in general. It's always good to play multiple races, even though you're going to get bottled down on one race. Oh, wow, I didn't even see his gateways down here. Even though it's best to get familiar with one race at least, I like to, and I recommend that as soon as you start breaking through Bronze League to Silver, start familiarizing yourself with other races. Because learning how to play other races is how you're going to learn how to counter those races. If you build a certain build and you see someone push against it, then you're going to see what you're going to need to do when you're playing those other races to push against it, or what you should build to counteract those builds. So it's really just about experience. Getting experience with one race is great, but it can only take you so far. You can only build Blinkstalkers so much before you realize just the full extent of what they can do. So it's really good to familiarize yourself with the other races, and that's something we're going to be trying to do. I don't know if we're going to be doing TZ matches versus other like Terran and Zerg, but you know, we'll see what we can do. I know I've been pushing on Terran really hard and practicing, so we will hopefully be getting out some PT matchups. So you know, Brotoss Terran, which is a very good combination. But anyway, until then, thanks for joining in. This is Token Gaijin signing out. As always, subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you nerds next time.